Kaz diyor şimdi. Son ikimiz de bağlı. Şimdi Hazrat Azghar ikimiz de bağlı.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله من أول الدنيا إلى فنائها ومن الآخرة إلى بقائها الحمد لله على كل نعمة وأستغفر الله من كل ذنب وأتوب إليه وهو أرحم الراحمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد صلى على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين بهم نتولى ومن أعدائهم نتبرأ إلى الله اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك توغا وتمتعه فيها طويلا مايك من كذا محمد وعلى محمد. For the well-being of Imam al-Asr alayhi salatu wassalam, for your well-being, for the marhumeen, for all of them. There is a salawat here from Imam Rida alayhi salam. Imam says, if you recite it in the graveyard of the Muslims once, azab is removed for 10 years. You recite it twice, it is removed for 40 years. And you recite it 3 times, it will be removed permanently. Now I'll recite this salawat once here. You also repeat yourselves, intending all of your marhumeen. Inshallah, this salawat gets to them, and by the mediation of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Salawati که امام رضا فرمودند که اگر به نیت مرحومین شما بخونید 1 مرتبه تا 10 سال عذاب برطرف میشه از اونها، از همشون. 2 مرتبه بخونید تا 40 سال، اگر 3 مرتبه بخونید بر همیشه عذاب از همشون برطرف میشه. منم میخونم یک بار، شما هم تکرار کنید با من نیت همه مرحومین و گذشتگان خودمون و همتون. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ما دامت الصلوات وصل على محمد وآل محمد ما دامت البركات وصل على محمد وآل محمد ما دامت الرحمة وصل على روح محمد وآل محمد في الأرواح وصل على جسد محمد وآل محمد في الأجساد وصل على قبر محمد وآل محمد في القبور وصل على سورة محمد وآل محمد في السور وصل على تربة محمد وآل محمد في التراب وصل على نور محمد وآل محمد في الأنوار وصل برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Some masail, and inshallah we'll get on to the main topic. We did talk about these masail earlier in the first day or the second day, that the a'mal that we do, our prayers, fasts, hajj, zakat, all of the observances, taharat, etc., all of that is correct only and only if we are in taqleed of a mujtahid. Without taqleed, a'mal, they are not valid, they are not accepted. Taqleed means to follow someone who specializes in deen, in fiqh. Because we don't know, we cannot specialize, we are not qualified enough, we have to approach someone who is specialized, who has studied in that religion, and we follow him. And that is told to us by the Ma'asumeen that is the way forward in this era of ghaibat of the Imam. If Imam was there, we follow the Imam. Now the Imam is absent. He has placed the fuqaha in his place, that you take the word of the fuqaha, the mujtahideen, and you follow them. That is called taqleed. Taqleed is wajib upon everyone who is baligh, and they have to be in taqleed of a living mujtahid to have their a'mal correct and accepted. If taqleed is absent in our lives, a'mal also they will not be accepted. That's one. The other mas'ala, it is regarding tattoos. Tattoos, are we allowed to have them or not? If you ask the question from the mujtahid, they would say, yeah, you can have it. But if you put the question properly and say that we want to have a tattoo, like what is happening nowadays, all over the body with all those funny tattoos and making ourselves a mockery, then the question, the answer is going to be different. We have a mas'ala, it's called fancy dressing, or a dress code which attracts other people, that is haram. You cannot have them. These tattoos, if you want to have them, then you will have a special attire because you want to show them to others. If you want to have those tattoos and hide them, then what's the point of having tattoos? The main reason why they want to have tattoos is because they want to show their flesh, they want to show the tattoos, and for that reason it is not permitted that you have to have all those accessories and resembling something that is not nice. So for those reasons, tattoo is not allowed. So keep that in your mind. If you look into the websites of the mujtahideen, you may find an answer. But if you put the question properly, that this is the tattoo and what is happening here in the West, and when you have that tattoo, you have to have a dress code like that, all ripped off clothes, all the flesh showing, and the accessories that go on top of it, all of that is not allowed. The mas'ala is لباس شهرت جائز نیست. لباس شهرت لباسی است که شما وقتی بپوشید مردم نگاه میکنن، یعنی it stands you out. یعنی هر چیزی که من بپوشم، یه کفشی بپوشم براق مثلا بیام تو کوچه، جایز نیست. یا مثلا اومدن در زمان امام صادق گفتن که برای چی شما لباس اینجوری میپوشید؟ به امام مجتبی گفتن که why do you dress like that؟ بعد امام مجتبی فرمودن که بله من جوونم لباس جوون فرق میکنه. اومدن گفتن که پدر بزرگتون امام علی که اینطوری نمیپوشید، خب ایشون پیرمرد بود، لباس پیرمرد با لباس جوان فرق میکنه. یعنی اگر ایشون بیاد لباس پیرمرد بپوشه یا پیرمرد بیاد لباس جوان بپوشه، this is called fancy dressing, and fancy dressing is not allowed. And the same thing applies to the tattoo. One of the other masail is that this is for all the boys and girls who are present here, especially the teenagers. This mas'ala is, generally boys, they say that when we are 15, we will start to say our prayers. Likewise, girls say the same. The teaching that we have from the imams is from the age of 7, you have to start praying all of your prayers. Everyone present here, all the children present here, you have to offer your prayers all 5 times, especially the teenagers. Don't wait for the bulugh and to be baligh and then start praying. If you wait for that time, then it's going to be difficult. Then someone who hasn't been used to offering his prayers before his teens, it becomes very difficult to offer his prayers when he is baligh. So when we look into the teachings of Ma'asumeen, that you have to offer your prayers from the age of 7. So 13s, all those who are of that age, they have to offer all 5 times prayers. Now sometimes the morning prayers become difficult to wake up. Now we have a wake up call in Quran. Quran says if you want to wake up at a certain time, for example, I want to wake up at 4 o'clock and to say my prayers. Quran says there is an ayah, that is the last ayah of Suratul Kahf, ayah number 110, last ayah. You recite that ayah before going to bed, and inshallah you will wake up at 4 o'clock. So that is just by reciting that ayah. And it is قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ يُوحَى إِلَيَّ أَنَّمَا إِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدٌ فَمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو لِقَاءَ رَبِّهِ فَلْيَعْمَلْ عَمَلًا صَالِحًا وَلَا يُشْرِكْ بِعِبَادَةِ رَبِّهِ أَحَدًا. One ayah. Recite that ayah and you will wake up at whatever time you want to get up. The other thing is, tomorrow is Ashura. Ashura has special rules. It is the day of Azar, day of mourning, day of crying, day of huzn for Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. Sallallahu Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. It is the day when the entire creation is in mourning. So you don't go to schools tomorrow if you don't work tomorrow. And if you are bound to work and you cannot take a day off, whatever you earn, you have to put it aside for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Don't use it. Because whatever we earn, whatever we make money and we spend it on ourselves on the day of Ashura, that is not Mubarak. It will not be blessed. So if you want to take a day off or you want to close your businesses, say qurbatan ilallah, I am closing this for Imam Hussein, for his azab, for his grief, and a lot of barakat will be given, because we recite Ziyarat Ashura. That says Yawmun tabarrakat bihi Banu Umayyah. Banu Umayyah, they believed this day to be Mubarak. They fasted on that day, and for us it is highly makruh to fast on the day of Ashura. Yeah, you don't eat. You eat in the afternoon, not with the intention of fasting, just because of the sorrow and the huzn that we have towards the Ahlul Bayt. So that is an important day. Be dressed in black, be part of majalis, cry for Abu Abdullah. No games, no TV, no entertainment, no amusement, nothing. It is the day of crying and azar of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. And give importance to these little things. These little things are the things that will boost us and bring us closer to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. A night like tonight, it is a great night of worship. Hadith says that if you occupy yourself in worship tonight, it is equal to the worship of all the angels of Allah. Says one night of Ashura, you occupy yourself in worship, it equals to 70 years of worship. So there are many prayers. Among them, it's a 2-rakat prayer. You offer a 4-rakat prayer, qurbatan ilallah, in sets of 2 and 2. After Surah Al-Hamd, you recite Surah Al-Ikhlas 50 times in each rakat. And then after your salat also you say 70 times Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim. Now all these little worships, they have great reward. Again, keeping up in worship, in dua, in remembrance of Allah, and in the azah of Sayyid al-Shuhada, it is highly recommended for tonight. Among the mustahabbat for tonight is to repeat 1000 times Allahumma la'an qatalatal Hussein, that Allah kill and banish from your mercy, curse them, who? The killers, the murderers of Hussein ibn Ali. That is, you say that 1000 times. Now, this creation that we have, among the most magnificent and the best of Allah's creations are the heavens that He has created. Vast, massive. And that heaven was created by the Noor of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. So that heaven also, it's a bestowal of Hussein ibn Ali. Now, ziyarat of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam, it used to be wajib, just like Hajj, according to the ruling of many of the ulama. Just like Hajj, that you offer once in your lifetime, ziyarat of Imam Hussein also was wajib according to the ruling until Marhum Majlisi. Now it is mustahab. Then says that if you were in a trouble, you could not travel for Hajj, you don't travel to Hajj. it's not wajib on you anymore. But for Sayyid al-Shuhada, if the borders were closed, if the Zalimeen, they don't allow you, even then you go. Even in a difficult situation, you travel to Karbala. Hadith says those who are well off, they travel to Karbala twice every year. Those who are poor or weak in finances, they should travel once every year. Why? Kullul khair fi bab al-Husayn. Because all the good, it is at the door of Husayn ibn Ali alayhi salam. Now when Prophet Nuh, he built his ship, and now the ship has to move. Jibreel descends. He brings 5 nails and says that nail them in the front of the ship. He nails the first nail and then says, what are these? Says, this is a protection for you. When he hits the first nail in the front of the ship, there says a noor gushed out from that nail, and it said, Hadha Noor Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. Sallallahu Muhammad wa Muhammad. This is the light of Muhammad. Now this is important. On that second nail when he hit, says another noor gushed out. There said that this is the light of Ali. Now being bonded with Amirul Mu'mineen, with Amir Ali alayhi salam, is extremely important. Now it is our custom that when you want to get up, stand up, you say Ya Ali. When children they fell down, you say Ya Ali. An old man, he was so much fond of this name of Amirul Mu'mineen that whenever his name was uttered and said, he used to say Ali Janan Bifidat. He died, and on that table where he was being washed, Ghassal, he is washing him, and someone around him, they mentioned Ali. Quickly this dead person puts his hand on his chest, says Ali Janam Bifida. That is, whatever acquaintance and bond you have in this world, it remains with you even after our death. That is why all of this emphasis is there, that you have to be connected and bonded to the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. There is no way out. If we want salvation, Ahlul Bayt, when we say Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, Allah guide us on the right path, says Aliyun huwa Sirat al-Mustaqim. Ali is Sirat al-Mustaqim. Or Ahlul Bayt, they are the Antumus Siratul Aqwam. You are the straight path of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. So we have to train our children to get connected more and more to the Ahlul Bayt. The third nail he hit onto the ship says Hadha Noor Fatima. The fourth nail, a light emerges, says this is the Noor of Hassan. The fifth nail that he hit in the ship, here it starts to bleed. Here Prophet Nuh says, what is this? Those 4, it was Noor. This 5th one is blood. Says that is Husayn ibn Ali. Jibreel, he then reveals to him the entire tragedy and story of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn and Karbala and Atash and thirst, and how he will be alienated, how he will be left all alone in Karbala, and from the descendants and the grandson of the Holy Prophet, the last Prophet of Islam. Now tonight I'll talk a little bit about Atash. Atash means thirst. Thirst, it is one of those very valid issues that we have in Karbala. Although nowadays they have come up with all this nonsense saying that it is all created by the Shias, and it's not as such. It wasn't that bad in Karbala. It was very bad. It was horrible. It was a disaster. Now I'll give you all the evidences, a few of them very briefly. Now on the 7th of Muharram, now all these are historical facts. On the 7th of Muharram, water was shut on the Ahlul Bayt. No water coming to the camps. Whatever was there, and that also was coming to an end, was being used. And then when we look back into the historical facts, this Umar Sa'd La'natullah alayh, he he sends a huge big army fully equipped. This is Sawar-e-Nizam. Sawar-e-Nizam means, in the terminology of this day, a tank. So he had 500 horsemen, 500 horse on warriors, which means that he had about 500 tanks to confront 72 over there. That's a large army. In total, 30,000 were there against 72. Now, here when we look into the historical facts, instructions given by this Mal'oon are that you have to stop the water coming towards the camps of Abu Abdullah and Hussein from the 7th of Muharram officially. So no water coming here. Or for example, when you look back into the sayings and statements of Rasulullah, one of them says, Inna waladi al-Husayn yaqtul bitaf Karbala ghariban wahidan atshana. My grandson Hussein will be killed in Karbala alone, alienated, gharib and atshana. Atshan means thirsty. Rasulullah has said, whatever Rasulullah says is wahy, is ma yantiqu anil hawa, it is wahy. Or for example, when Imam al-Asr alayhi salatu wassalam, when he returns, he has 5 slogans, standing facing against the Kaaba. The first one, Ala ya ahl al-alam, ana al-imam al-qa'im. O inhabitants of the universe, I am that Imam who was the awaited. Ala ya ahl al-alam, ana as-samsam al-muntaqim. O inhabitants of the universe, I am that avenging sword. Third slogan that Imam will say, every one of us will hear that. And the third one is, Ala ya ahl al-alam, inna jaddi al-Husayn qataluhu atshana. That inhabitants of the universe, my grandfather Hussein was killed thirsty. Fourth, Ala ya ahl al-alam inna jaddi al-Husayn sahaquhu udwana. So over here, Imam al-Asr also, when he returns, he's going to emphasize on Atash, on thirst. So Karbala, thirst existed. Or for example, Sakina, when she comes and sees that the horse has returned without the Imam, without the rider, she says, Ya Jawada Abi, my father's horse. I know father is no more, he has passed away. Tell me, As-Suqiya Abi, was my father quenched? Am Qutila Atshana, or was he killed thirsty? So over here also thirst. Or for example, the Imam says, Shi'ati ma'in sharibtum azba ma'in fazkuruni. My Shias, when you drink a sip of water, do remember, do remember. So thirst existed. Or for example, when we see Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, he buries the pure body of Abu Abdullah. There, after burying the body, with his finger, he writes on the grave, Hada qabru Husayn ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib. This is the grave of Hussein, son of Ali, grandson of Abu Talib. Alladhi qataluhu atshanan ghariba. He is someone who was killed thirsty. So thirst is important. Thirst was valid. They were all thirsty. Now, a person comes to Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam. Salawat Muhammad. Says that with all this importance and emphasis to the night prayers, says I cannot offer those night prayers and I don't want to miss out on the reward of the night prayers. Imam says, offer the 2 and the 1, that is shafa and watr. Then he says that, what if I could not offer the shaf and the watr? Imam says at least that one rakat, offer it. He says, I can't, and I don't want to miss out on the ajr as well. Then Imam says to him that, do it after your Maghrib prayers. He says, what if I could not do it? I cannot do it, and I don't want to miss out on the ajr and the sawab as well. Then he says that, offer your Maghrib and Isha prayers in Jama'at, and then before going to bed, recite the last ayah of Surah Al-Baqarah, Amana ar-Rasul bima unzila ilayhi min rabbih, until the end. He says that if you do that, you will get the reward of the night prayers. He says, what if I could not participate in the Jama'at, and what if I did not recite that, but I still don't want to miss out on the sawab of the namaz shab? Imam says, when you wake up to say your Fajr prayers, do you feel thirsty? He says, very thirsty. Says, remember my grandfather Hussein. At that time, you will get the reward of the night prayers, although you haven't offered them, just by remembering Sayyid al-Shuhada Hussein ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Sallallahu Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So thirst is important, and we have to remember and mention that thirst. A young man, he also tried to offer the night prayers. He says that I try, but I cannot. One day he was traveling from Tehran to Qom in the coach, and in Iran, in the coaches, in the front next to the driver, there is a big kolman. There's a big drum of water with some glasses. Says an old man was sitting behind me, and the old man said to me, can you give me a cup of water? He says, I quickly bent down, filled that cup with water, and said to Allah that, Allah, the reward of this water be delivered to the grave of my marhum father. And then he gave that cup to this old man sitting in the coach. Says from that very moment, only for giving, providing water, he was blessed with the tawfiq to offer the night prayers. So water is that important, that all the blessings can be sought for that water. Or for example, when we look back into these historical facts again, in Quran also we've got a test of Talut and Jalut. Over there also there's a test. Allah says that if you want to know if the group is with Talut, then the test is they come by the stream, by the river. And those who drink water from that river, they are failed, they cannot be with Talut. Those who come by the river and don't drink water or drink just one sip, they can be with Talut. So in Quran also the test of thirst has been mentioned. In the books of our akhlaq and riwayat, there we've got a chapter to provide water, how rewarding it is. Now you see in Karbala, in Arba'in, in most of these days of the first Ashra and on the day of Ashura, they've got all these waters that are being served and provided. Why is that? Hadith says, if you find no way to get your sins forgiven, says provide water. Give water to whosoever it is, give water, you will get forgiven. Or says that لِكُلِّ كَبِدٍ حَرَّاء أَجْرٍ. So all these livers that are in flares, that are hot, that need water, providing water to them has a lot of reward. Now the first one who abandoned water was Abu Sufyan, la'natullah alayh, in the battle of Badr upon the Muslims. The second one to abandon water was Muawiyah in the battle of Siffin. And the third one was this Yazid, who abandoned water upon Hussein ibn Ali alayhi salam in this battle of Karbala. So this lineage, this Yazid ibn Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan la'natullahi alayhim ajma'een, they always confronted the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. And that is what is continuing even today. All these fighters that have been brought into existence to fight the Islam and Muslimin. It's the same policy, it's the same tactic. Now Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala in this hadith says He loves people who provide water to others. So there, whenever you provide water, says that you remember the thirst of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam. Now for water, all that importance is there, and tomorrow being the day of Ashura, to the young children present over here, all these nohas and marsiyas that are recited, many of them you may be knowing them. Try to understand what the reciter is saying. You like the tune, you may be repeating it at home, but you may not understand. But try to understand whatever language that is, because these nohas and marsiyas, they are also connected somehow to wahi. Unless a person is connected to the Ahlul Bayt, all these famous nohas that you have in Farsi, in Urdu, in whatever language, there is a connection of that noha and that marsiya, that poetry with the Ahlul Bayt. That is why it has that beautiful impact in the majalis. So try to understand them. One of the musibats that we have for Sayyid al-Shuhada on the day of Ashura is that he was wearing this armor, iron armor. And the armor also bled. That is, so many wounds were there on the pure body of the Imam that blood was seeping out of the armor. Or the other musibat that we have, it says that when he looked at the sky, it was like smoke. When there wasn't smoke there. Now he was so dehydrated, that is, the vision had gone blurry, as a result of which everything seems to be smoky. That is, as a result of that excessive dehydration over there. Now on the day of Ashura, we've got all these masaib that unfold. The musibat that we have for tonight is of Ali Asghar alayhi salam, this infant of Abu Abdullah. Now all of these infants in Karbala present, may that be Ali Asghar, may that be Ruqayya bint al-Husayn, all these are great personalities. All the big problems that you have in your life, they can be opened and undone and untied by these little fingers of Ali Asghar alayhi salam. Those who have du'as and hajat, whatever that hajat be, you can seek Ali Asghar. One of the ways to seek him is to offer a 2-rakat prayer, qurbatan ilallah, just like your Fajr prayers. And after your salat, you recite 500 times salawat, gift it to Ali Asghar, and ask him to help you out, and everything will be sorted, everything will be helped. Likewise is Hazrat Ruqayya, salamullahi alayha, that these little fingers of the noble members of Ahlul Bayt, they have that miraculous effect. Imam alayhi salam, on the day of Ashura, he has all these calls. Hal min nasirin yansuruni. Is there anyone to assist me? Is there anyone to help me? He raises his cry, Hal min dhabbin yazubbu an harami Rasulullah. Is there anyone who can support to the haram, the household of Rasulullah? Hal min mughisin. Is there someone who could step forward? Here all of a sudden the women, they say, there's a cry from the camps of the women. What happened? Says Ali Asghar, he dropped himself from the cradle. Upon the call of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam, Imam comes to the camp and says that give me the baby, the infant. Now when he comes to the camp entrance, he knows he is Imam, he is Ma'soom, he's got that ilm, that I'm taking this infant alive and in a good state, no wound on him, and I'm going to return it as well. If he takes it from the mother, it's very difficult. So here when he comes and says, give me the baby, Zainab Kubra brings the baby and gives it to Imam. And when Imam returns with the baby that has been beheaded and killed, when he comes back to the camp, for the first time he comes and then he could not. How can he give this baby in this state to the mother? Comes out. For the second time comes to the entrance of the camp, again the same. The third time he comes, he could not give the baby to the mother, now comes behind the tent, digs a little grave and buries Ali Asghar there in the grave. Now, Imam, when he comes and takes the baby, says, Ya qawm, in lam tarhamuni, if you don't have mercy on me, farhamu hadha tifl, have mercy on this infant, on this baby. Ama tarawnahu kayfa yataladha atasha. Do you not see how thirsty and dehydrated he is? The term used over here is yataladha. Yataladha in Arabic, it applies to fish. When you take the fish out of water, you see that it flaps. If you throw the fish back into water, it will survive, it will live. Sometimes when you take the fish out and it is flapping, then the mouth is opening and closing. At that point, if you put the baby back, it will also survive, chances are there. But there is a point when the tail doesn't flap, it's only the mouth that is opening and closing. Says at this point, if you throw the fish in the water also, it will not survive. Says Ali Asghar alayhi salam was in this third stage of dehydration, that even if water was provided to him, he would not have had survived. The Imam says, in lam tarhamuni, if you have no mercy on me, have mercy on this infant. And then that Mal'oon who had come there with those poisonous arrows, he shoots an arrow onto the neck of Ali Asghar. Now Imam also, when he is going towards the battlefront at this point, he is on a camel. On a camel in the tactics of war means that he has no intention to fight. If it was a horse, means he has intentions to fight. Imam is on a camel going towards them to get water for Ali Asghar. And there he says that he's looking at the baby every now and then, whether the baby is alive or not. And all of a sudden when he says, is there anyone who could give a sip of water to this baby? An arrow is shot. And Maqatil, they say that فَذَبَحَهُ مِنَ الْأُذُنِ إِلَى الْأُذُنِ. From one part of the ear to the other part of the ear, it sliced the neck of Ali Asghar alayhi salam. Imam takes the baby and the blood falls in his palm. Imam throws the blood towards the sky. Now throughout the Masaib of Karbala, on no incident, on no occasion did Allah condole Abu Abdullah al-Hussein except this one occasion when Ali Asghar was killed. And there he hears a call from the sky saying that Hawwana. Imam says, Hawwana ma nazala bi annahu bi'ayn Allah. It is easy for me to bear because it is in the eyes of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. A caller from the sky says, Ya Hussein da'hu fa inna lahu murda'an fil jannah. Hussein, leave him. There is someone to nurse this baby in the heavens. Imam says, Laytakum fi yawm Ashura jami'an tanzuruni. I wish you saw me on the day of Ashura. كيف أستسقي لطفل فأبوا أن يرحموني. How I was pleading for water for this baby and how they quenched the thirst. And وسقوه سهم بغي عوض الماء المعين. Instead of pure water, they quenched the thirst of this baby with an arrow. And then that is how they killed Ali Asghar alayhi salam. Goft, ey qawm, روح پیکرم این است ثانی حیدر علی اصغرم این است. Imam, when he comes, he says that I've given all these sacrifices. This is Ali Asghar. Here he says that آن همه اصغر بودند اکبرم این است حجت کبرای روز محشرم این است. All those sacrifices that were given, all of them were small. In reality, the greatest of my sacrifice is this Asghar of mine, Akbaram این است حجت کبرای روز محشرم این است. Then he says, او که بدین کودکی گناه ندارد یا که سر رزم این سپاه ندارد، بلکه بس افسرده است آه ندارد. جای دهید آن که را پناه ندارد. امام وقتی اومدن بچه را از مادر بگیرن، حضرت زینب بچه را داد به امام. بچه را گرفتن، بعد نوزاد رو گرفتن، رفتن به سمت این ملاعین. اونجا سوار بر شتر شدن. سوار بر اسب اگر میشد معلوم بود که اومدن به جنگن. سوار بر شتر شدن، رفتن به سوی اونا، گفتند که اگر به من رحم نمی کنید به این بچه رحم کنید، این بچه که گناهی نداره. همین که درخواست میکرد، همین در طول راهی هم که میرفتن هی نگاه میکردن به سوی این بچه که آیا این زنده هست یا نیست، زیر عباشون میدیدن. بعد همین که اومدن ببینن، اون ملعون هرمله از اونجا تیر کشید زد به گلوی حضرت علی اصغر و ایشون هم اونجا از گوش تا گوش این برید گلوشون و این خون هم که ایشون در دستشون جمع شده بود، ابا عبدالله الحسین این را انداخت توی آسمان. الا لعنت الله علی القوم الظالمین و سیعلم الذین ظلموا ای منقلب ینقلبون.
علی اصغر